Hey everyone, welcome to the Wildrift Patch 3.2 breakdown, where we will be discussing the different changes and how it affects both rank and the competitive meta. Without further ado, let's get into it. So new champion will be Echo. He will be released as soon as the patch hits. So expect to see a lot of auto-lock Echo, as well as Echo being banned in ranked. New feature, Elemental Rift. So in this version, they removed the Dragon Soul. Instead, they made it a stackable buff. So here, they made Infernals 468. Ocean is 4.56, as well as Mountains 6,912. So assuming you take 3 dragons, then your buff will be doubled. So from 4% to 8%. And then Elder will spawn at 20 minutes with a 4-minute respawn timer. You wouldn't be seeing Elder every game, most probably every other game, because games just end before the 20-minute mark. So next, GVG Season 3. So new season of GVG. And then Lever Mitigation. This is the more important one. Remake is now here. When a player is AFK at the start of the game, you'll have the opportunity to remake. If the vote is successful, the game will be null and void as if nothing happened. So this is good unless you're in a pre-made in Masters Above. So this is only applicable to Masters Above. If you have a pre-made teammate that gets disconnected, you'll also receive the loss. But if you're Diamond below and you're in a pre-made and someone disconnects, you wouldn't get the loss. So this is fair and makes it less abusable. To start, Remake will only be available in normal PvP games. So hopefully, this normal PvP game includes rank. If it doesn't, they need to implement it soon. If it's already implemented, this will be really good and improve the gameplay for everyone. A teammate disconnecting midway could be equally frustrating. So ranked AFK loss mitigations. Below Diamond, you'll have more ranked fortitude deducted if you disconnect. Okay. As well as VP deducted if you're Diamond above. On the other hand, the rest of the team will get your VP back as well as you'll get more rank fortitude. So this is good. So if, for example, you're losing 15 points per game and you have a teammate that's disconnected, with this system, you'll only lose 7 VP instead. So rank, making a few changes, performing well, will give you more rank fortitude. So this is good for those who play well. So at least you'll have an easier climb in rank. So this is good if you get a lot of SVP in your games. New Wall Pass, Nasus. Perfect timing, especially with the Demolish plus Hullbreaker. And you have Nasus. So you know what that means? RIP Towers. Skins, Sandstorm Echo, which will be his first skin. And then High Noon Ash, Irelia Thresh. Really good skins as well, especially if you main these champions. One thing is that it will be released next week. So if you want to buy these skins, you have to wait 1 week. Accessories, don't care much. Let's skip. New event, Echo Arrival. So new event and High Noon event next week as well. Champion changes. Okay, the more interesting part of the patch notes. Energy regeneration is decreased from 75 to 50. Quite a big nerf. But they increased the damage by 5. Negligible. Energy cost is reduced as well to try to mitigate this. And ulti damage increased actually. They decreased it in the first level. But level 2, level 3, it's increased by 50 and 105 if I'm not mistaken. So they increased the damage by a lot. But the second cast has been nerfed by 5 damage and 10% AP. So overall, what they did here is they moved the damage of the second cast, they placed it in the first cast. Overall, it's also, I think this is quite a nerf as well because this is a bigger nerf overall. Next would be Ari. Reduced her health per level from 115 to 105. I think this is a 140 HP nerf at level 15. If you play Ari, your objective is to catch people. And Ari is still generally a strong pick overall. Blitzcrank, a lot of buffs. Increased mana regen by 3. Mana regen per level as well as attack speed per level. So they increased Blitzcrank's auto attack which makes his third skill hit faster as well. And in conjunction, they also decreased the cooldown of his third skill. So from 7 seconds to 5 seconds. If you have at least 50%, 40 to 50%, then this would be 3 seconds. And your knockup lasts 1 second. So you only need to wait 2 seconds before every cast. So interesting to see on how this will affect the Blitz players. Most probably increase the Blitz usage overall. Galio, is receiving another nerf. So charge duration from 1.75 to 1.25. So they need to make Galio charge a bit more to reach the maximum taunt duration. Effect range also has been decreased from 2 to 1.75, so you have to be literally beside your opponent if you want to quick cast your second skill. But they increased the damage 130.45 to 160.55. So this is good if you're playing Galio mid, since Galio mid is mostly AP. Next would be Karma. Karma has been very strong. Reduced her damage by 30 with her first skill. This is good. Reduce her poke. As well as the ultimate. Reduce the slow after casting. It gives a 1 second slow, if I'm not mistaken, from 50 to 35. This hits Karma. Still, Karma is a very good pick, but it's good that they nerfed her a bit. Morgana, they increased her damage from 290 to 320, 30 damage buff, as well as reduced the damage of her second skill from 24 to 20, but they increased the damage to monsters by 25%, 200 to 225. And the mana cost has also been increased a bit. They really want to make Morgana viable in the jungle. I think she's the only champion that can do a double clear at Raptor's Red as well as the Blue Grump. So very interesting to use. Most probably, I'll be playing a bit more Morgana jungle in the future. So Rengar, very strong and stable pick in the jungle. So they're nerfing him a bit by 8 damage. So this would make his early game a bit weaker and his clear a bit slower. His initial clear. But overall, I think once he gets his items, he'll still be the same annoying cat. Next is Seraphine. They nerfed Seraphine actually. So they decreased the base damage by 5 and the AP scaling. I think this is her passive, if I'm not mistaken. So they reduced her damage a bit. And this one is her third skill. So from 150, no, this is her first skill rather. Sorry. So they reduced the damage of her first skill and her third skill by the scaling. So they don't want to make Riot thinks that AP Seraphine is really strong right now. So they reduced the scaling by 10%. Shen, I think, got a big buff. So from 25, they doubled the energy regen. But they reduced the energy gained from damaging champions by 5. As well as increasing the energy cost of his first skill. I think this is still a better buff overall because the energy regen will be a lot faster. Sona got a nerf. So base armor 40 to 35 and the heal from 105 to 75, but the shield has been buffed by 30. So they put the heal to the shield. They tried to reduce her sustain and make her more of a shield champion rather than a heal champion. So this is understandable because Sona is really strong right now. One of the more underrated picks, really good against poke champions such as Ziggs, Varus, Jace, etc. etc. And then her third skill also got a nerf. They made it higher by 2 seconds, which is not that much. This is the bigger impact as well as this one, which makes her laning phase a bit harder and more susceptible to all-in champions such as Stretch Lucian, etc. etc. Soraka got another buff, movement speed from 70% to 100%. So this is when approaching low health allies made her a lot faster. And the rejuvenation from 2 seconds to 2.5. Cooldown is lower as well. And the healing is also increased. Wow, this is actually big. From 110 to 150, 40 HP heal. As well as a bigger scale. And this also works with the second skill. If you're able to hit someone with a star call, use the second skill on your ally gets the bonus heal as well. So gameplay changes. Executioner got semi-nerfed by reducing the damage. The gold, however, is decreased as well. It's not a nerf, it's just adjustment. It's a better term. Here, they increased the AP of Infinity Orb because what people usually do, they always get Rabadon, Morello, and Void Staff. So they're making Infinity Orb another viable option. Instead of getting Morello, you could probably go for the Infinity Orb if the opponents don't have much healing. Ecstalicity Jar. So this is receiving another mini remake. So instead of providing armor magic resist, they made it provide HP and ability haste, which is cooldown. They also reduced the gold by 100. I don't think this will still be used because if you're using an enchanter support, you would always go for the Ardent, Staff of Flowing Water, or even just go AP. And if you're using a tank, you would go for the Deadmans, Warmogs, Zeeks. There are a lot more better support items than the Sea Jar. Hopefully, I see some Ecstalicity Jar, but most probably, especially in competitive, you wouldn't see this item that much. Even though it has a new passive which gives move speed, it's not enough. Last Whisper, they made this a bit cheaper. This is good for those who build this item, usually the assassins as well as ADCs. Oblivion Orb, same treatment as the Executioners. They decreased the ability power, but they decrease the gold as well. So Rylai, interesting buff. So this is actually a big buff. This is good for those who use Rylai. And the main user of Rylai is Singed. So low-key, this is a Singed buff. But this can also be used by Morgana, Brand. So this is also a good buff for them. Next is Solari Charge Blade. They increase the on-hit damage by 5. The only champions that probably use this is those who can spam abilities while attacking, which is Corki and Lucia. Void Staff, increasing magic penetration, increasing the cost as well. So this is a decent buff. Then Runes, Giant Slayer, deals bonus damage based on the enemy champion's bonus health. So this only applies to bonus health where people stack HP items. So this is good against bruisers that build Sterax, Divine Sunder, or even those who build Stone Plate. So this is best used for those who like to buy Stone Plate, because if the opponent uses Stone Plate, automatic you'll have the 10% bonus damage against them. Next is Scorch. So this change makes mid lane mages more viable again, because this makes their laning phase a lot stronger. Deals enemy ability damage to a champion that deals 21 to 35 after 1 second, which is a 10-second cooldown. So laning phase, every wave you could probably proc this twice, and most likely mid mages will be viable again. So this is good for Ziggs, Orianna, probably even Corki, and maybe if you play Singe, this is also a good rune for you, because you could easily proc this. The next is Demolish. Within 550, charge an attack, attacking the tower, discharges attack, dealing 200 plus 25% maximum health. So this is good, probably used by Baron laners such as Renekton, Garen, Camille, those who would like to split push, and you know, Nasus, which is the new Wild Pass skin. So it's made for those kinds of champions and make your push a lot faster, make you a lot more threatening when split pushing. Nimbus Cloak, casting a summoner spell grants 5 to 25% summoner spell cooldown. So this will make you a bit faster. So this is probably good for those who need to engage, such as Olaf, Ghost Might, Flash, or this is better on Kennen, who needs to ult Flash to make you a bit faster, as well as Rakan to make you faster as well when you go for the R Flash W. Those types of champions could use Nimbus Cloak. Next is Lethal Tempo. I think this will be the most used rune for this patch. Almost all champions that auto-attack can use this rune. So when attacking enemy champions, gain an attack stack of attack speed. For melee champions, this grants 6 to 12% attack speed. For range, this grants 3 to 9. So even though this gives less attack speed to range champions, this will be really good. And when it gets maximum stacks, gain additional 30% attack speed. Additional attack speed buff lasts 6 seconds but is refreshable. Meaning, if you're in a team fight, as long as you're hitting someone, the attack speed buff will not disappear. This is gonna be the rune to use, especially if you're playing ADC. Kraken Slayer, another new rune, a former item in LoL PC, ported into Wildrift as a rune. So every third attack on a champion deals true damage, 28 to 70. Doesn't have a cooldown, you could always proc this. This only works on champions. On-hit effects do not stack, but can trigger the full stack damage. Stack lasts for 3 seconds. So this is good for those who have auto-attack resets. First champion that comes to mind is Lucian, Vayne, Master Yi. Those kinds of champions could probably use Kraken Slayer. But I think Lethal Tempo is a much better rune because they're both stackable runes. If you want fast damage burst, you could probably go Kraken Slayer. But when it comes to the long team fights, Lethal Tempo will always be the better rune. Next would be Ultimate Shield. So this is a new option for those who go in with their ultimate. After casting your ultimate, gain a shield. So this is good for those who use Nimbus Cloak as well. So for Kennen, Morgana, Rakan, Olaf, maybe. So those types of champions who look to engage with their ulti to make them a bit more tankier. Next is Nullifying Orb. So basically, this is a mini Hex Drinker. When you fall below 35%, a shield that will come out. So this is good against AP assassins as well as AP bursts, such as Ziggs, Diana. But this is way better against Akali and even Echo will be released. And what's good about Nullifying Orb is that this scales with AD and AP. So if you're an ADC who builds a lot of AD and there's an enemy Akali in this team, you probably would like to get this rune to try to reduce her burst so you wouldn't get one shot by the opponents. So this is actually an ADC or mage rune, especially against AP assassins. Rune changes, Grasp of the Undying from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. It's good for Baron laners. Mastermind has gotten a mini rework, so from epic monsters and turrets to only epic monsters instead. So from 40 gold to 100 gold. Gold is also taken on assists. What they want here is they made Mastermind more for the neutral objectives, which is Dragon, Referral, and Baron. I don't think that people will use Mastermind. I think people will still use the new runes as well as Pathfinder rather than this rune. The only time that I'd probably get Mastermind is if I play Kha'Zix or Nunu, wherein I want to take the objective as fast as possible. But other than that, you would still take other runes. It's not enough for people to take Mastermind. So next, Fleet Footwork. They reduced the minion healing from 100 to 30 to 60 to 60-20. A big nerf for those who use Fleet for sustain. Well, ADCs won't use Fleet anymore. They'll all be using Lethal Tempo. But they also increased 8% missing mana or energy when triggered against a champion. So this is a buff for those who use a lot of poke during laning, as well as for those who are energy-based, such as Akali, Shen, Lee Sin. Oh, Lee Sin wouldn't use Fleet, but this is good for Akali. Because what you want for Akali is to sustain, and getting your energy back is huge for the champion. So going to the jungle changes, Red Brambleback and Blue Sentinel. So what did they do here? Now deals 50% against non-champion units. Okay, so this is the red buff. So more damage. And the red buff itself, they reduce the magic resist, increase the HP. So making it harder to clear level 1. So evolved Red Brambleblocks, still the same. They increase the HP and reduce the magic resist. So blue buff. So what they changed here in the blue buff is from 10 plus 1% max mana, 1% max energy to 10 plus 1 max mana and 5 plus 1 max energy. So they buffed the energy regen on the blue buff. So this is good for Zed, Akali, because they like to spam a lot of skills during team fights, and this will make their energy regen even faster. Grants also ability haste, but what they did here is that they removed mini Warmogs of these buffs. So this is a huge nerf for those who like to take blue buffs, for junglers who like to take blue buff rather. Because on objectives, usually what happens is you have blue buff, you get poked, but since you have blue buff, you can easily get your HP back. Now they removed the out of combat regen, which is an overall nerf for me. So I'd rather get the HP regen rather than the ability haste. So same as well. Oh, the blue buff grants 15 ultimate ability haste. Interesting. So not only do you have 15 ability haste from the normal blue buff, you also have 15 ultimate ability haste. So this is a 30 ability haste on your ultimate. Low-key, very good for mid laners who spam their ultis. Like Zed, Lux, or Yana. So you'll have your ultimate a lot faster. The only problem is that they removed the combat health as well. They made it more for cooldown rather than HP. Because the regen was super OP. So they made blue buff also a lot easier to clear. They reduced the armor. I think what they want here is they want to make blue buff a viable start rather than a red buff. I still go for the red buff because it makes your clear a lot faster, especially with this new change. Next is Referral the Dragon from 4 minutes to 5 minutes. Ooh, this is such a big change. Now it's similar to the Elemental Rift, wherein Dragon and Herald are now both 5 minutes. But they nerfed the Herald from 250 to 125. They reduced the gold by 50%. This would change the meta a lot. Not only would it make laning phase a bit more important, it would also give you more time to complete your first items. Once the Dragon or Rift Herald spawns, most likely everyone would have completed their first item already. Before, the most gold that you could get is 3.1k, assuming you don't kill anyone, and you could only buy a few items with that gold. That's why everyone goes Cleaver first, because it's very item efficient and it's something that you can complete before the first objective. And another thing here is that they didn't increase the tower protection. So one thing that people could do, especially the competitive, when it gets to the 4-minute mark, you recall, you buy your first item, then you swap lane to try to get the first tower because the tower protection is now gone. Getting first tower before the 5-minute mark is something that you could do. And if you get tower, you get more gold, which would make your Dragon or Rift Herald team fight a lot stronger. Smite has been increased. Damage to monsters. They're making our clears faster, which is good. I'll take any jungle buff any time of the day. Then we go to the system. Control Ward, new trinket. I think this is super abusable. I tried this in the PBE. One thing that you could do is buy the Control Ward, put it on the map, then recall, and buy your yellow trinket. So that way, if you're 5 people, what can happen is that 5 people can buy Control Wards at the start of the game, put it somewhere in the map, immediately recall, change to yellow trinket, and you would have 5 Control Wards before the first wave even spawns. So this low-key unabusable trinket, and most probably I'll be seeing a nerf in the future. Just on the Switch. Tenacity, they made it multiplicative instead of additive. From 30%, if you get double tenacity, it will only now be 40% instead of 49%. So this is basically just Titans plus Merc Threads. So they nerfed Titans the Merc Threads, which is deserved, because this makes crowd controls not even last a second, which is good. So I think that is it. Biggest changes would be the control wards, possibly abusable, and then the dragons. 5 minutes is a lot, and probably change the meta. And then Lethal Tempo, which is gonna be the #1 most used rune in the current patch. For the champion buffs and nerfs, not much has changed. Probably the biggest winner is Soraka. They did a lot of buffs on her. And the biggest nerf would be Akali. No, all of the champions that are nerfed are still pretty strong in their current state. So that is it for our patch breakdown. If I missed something or you have some feedback, feel free to comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, kindly subscribe for more updates. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Ciao, ciao. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.